big surprise. And wouldn't you know, 'cause I ain't gonna burn off. Well, hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this Sunday Stuff and Things, we have stuff and things to talk about, including upcoming videos, things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. We will talk a bit about the cameras I use for photography. People have asked me about that, and maybe this can be a test run to see if you want an actual dedicated video about this. We will also talk briefly about the Switch 2 reveal, a video game thing. A lot of people don't care about that, but several people have asked about that as well. We're going to be talking about BAREN mixture. We're going to be talking about exclusive pipe stuff on Patreon, all sorts of good things coming up on this edition of Sunday Stuff and Things. So stay tuned. So what can you look forward to on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon? Well, this week, it's going to be a Stuff and Things Patreon exclusive. It will be the first impressions video for BAREN Mixture Scottish Blend. This is an interesting one, and I've already mentioned maybe previously that my initial impressions of BAREN Mixture Scottish Blend were very, well, not very, but very negative. One very negative. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was outdoors, it was really windy and cold and wet, and just the circumstances for the blend to perform at its most optimal were not there. That was a really complicated way of saying that it just wasn't a great situation for the blend to shine. And then subsequently, I've already recorded the full review of BAREN Mixture Scottish Blend as well. My views have changed a bit, so keep that in mind if you are a Patreon supporter and you watch the BAREN Mixture Scottish Blend first impressions video this week. My opinion will have changed a bit by the time the full review posts. So bear that in mind. And then on Stuff and Things YouTube, not this week, but the week after, we're gonna be doing a video where I'm going out in search of nesting great blue herons. Pretty interesting, just crazy birds. I don't know if you've ever been very close up to a lot of great blue herons, but they're big, they're weird, they squawk strangely. And I think I showed you a picture last week just talking about how dinosaur-like they are, especially if you're surrounded by them in the treetops. So that's gonna be cool coming up on Stuff and Things YouTube. And then the week after that, exclusive to our Patreon, is the BAREN Mixture Scottish Blend full review. And as I mentioned, I already recorded that video. Interesting stuff going on with BAREN Mixture. One of the most popular blends out there, and one that still kind of ambivalent about, but you should definitely watch the videos. And then someone asked me on the comments about a week ago whether I was going to be doing a 1-year update on my NYX Pullman engineer boots. And I probably will. It's going to be a little bit over a year because I think I got them in February of 2024, I think. So yeah, it's gonna be a little bit over a year, but I definitely do wanna do a video on those. I wanna show you how they've worn in, the patina that everyone loves on old boots. Well, they're not old boots, they're a year old. How I feel they are in terms of comfort and fit after a year of use, and I've used them quite a bit. And I also just want to show you the wear on the soles and everything, just give you an idea of how they hold up after a year of wearing them a lot, mostly walking around on concrete. So stay tuned for that as well. All right, we have things here to show you. It's going to be a little bit of a show and tell. People ask me sometimes, I talk about photography a lot now. It's kind of my main hobby over the last year. And it's been a hobby of mine for years and years, but especially over the last year, I've really focused on it. And I post on Instagram. You should check out my my primarily photography, or exclusively photography Instagram is in the link in the description box below. And so people ask me, like, what cameras do you use? I do some film stuff, I do some digital stuff. And so I just thought I would show you the primary cameras I use for photography. And then if this is interesting to you, if you would like a dedicated video about this, I will do one on the Stuff and Things YouTube channel. But I have my donkey F6, a little bit smaller camera bag here. Love this bag, it's fantastic. Probably heavier than I should be carrying around all the time. Sometimes my left arm goes numb while I'm carrying this bag. Probably not a great thing. But I'll show you the cameras that I have in here. These are the cameras that I have with me every day. I take this bag with me everywhere. I never leave the house without this bag, unless I'm throwing trash away or something. And even then, sometimes I throw this bag on my shoulder. When I go to work, this is in my car. When I go to the grocery store, I have this with me. When I go walk around downtown and do street photography, I have this with me. If I'm doing wildlife photography, well, we'll get into all this, but basically this is primarily the camera equipment that I carry with me all the time. And then I can't show you, I guess we should start with the Canon R6 because that is the camera that is filming this video right now. I have had that for over 3 years now. I got it when it was new. So when was that? 2021 maybe? So maybe 4 years. And it's been fantastic. Love it. It's fantastic as a video camera. It's only 20 megapixels. It's not, you know, it's not necessarily as feature rich as some cameras that have come out in the last couple years. Well, it probably is though. As far as just what you can do with the camera, you can do pretty much everything with it. But as far as the sensor, it is only 20 megapixels, but it's more than enough for video. It's more than enough for photography too, for the most part, other than the fact that you can't crop way in on your photographs really. But it's great. I use it primarily for video, but I also use it for macro. I have this 100mm macro lens, a Canon macro lens that is absolutely fantastic. It's got the autofocus, it's got the image stabilization, it's got everything you want, and it makes macro photography so much more easy. Actually, when you're doing macro and you're really up there, this has a 1-to-1 magnification too. So whatever you're seeing in this lens is life size. And if you're doing like a tiny little bug, you probably don't want to use autofocus. You're going to use manual focus, but it's perfectly doable with this. Just a fantastic lens. I've gotten some great shots with this. And then, so that's in partnership with my Canon R6 that's filming this video. And then if I'm doing nature photography, I'm also often using this, which is a big old 600mm lens. Now, if I can get this out right now, there we go. So that's this baby, 600mm, it's the Canon RF 600mm fixed f11. So this isn't an L lens, it's not the fancy expensive 600mm lens, and it has a fixed f11 aperture. If you know anything about photography, you'll know that that is not letting in a ton of light. But that's why this lens can be so cheap relative to the L lenses, which are $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 for this focal length. This one, I think when I got it was only about $600, and I got it on sale, and now, I don't know, they're probably closer to $7, maybe even $8. But to be able to do 600mm telephoto lens for that price is kind of crazy. And the only issue is that you have to have a pretty sunny day when you're going out there. You have to have some light. So I use this quite a bit. If you've ever seen, you know, like a nature photograph of mine of a bird or something like that, it was probably taken with the Canon R6 and this lens. Honorable mentions, I also have my beautiful restored Polaroid SX70 sonar, a fantastic Polaroid camera. This is actually, if I can get it open, this is actually an SLR. You're looking through the lens when you're looking into the viewfinder here. So it's really great. You can frame your shots and you're seeing exactly what is going to appear on the camera. It has autofocus with this little sonar system on the top. Just a fantastic camera. Absolutely love it. If you're into Polaroid, I highly recommend the SX70. Now, the primary cameras that I use pretty much every day, we will open up my Domke F6, little bit smaller camera bag, and inside here, I have the workhorse. This is the Fuji X100VI. I have had this for a little over a year now, and I remember I wanted a walking around camera. I wanted a camera that could be a daily carry camera because the Canon R6 is quite large. It's a big, bulky, full frame mirrorless camera. And I wanted something that I could do street photography with, or something that was just a little bit more baggable. I guess it's not pocketable, but baggable. And I was looking into this, and I got a tax return, I had sold some gear, I had the money for it, not tax return, but tax refund. And I went ahead and pre-ordered it, not realizing how crazily popular they were going to be. Like, apparently you still can't get these now, but I was able to get one when I pre-ordered. I had to wait, I don't know, a month or so after the camera actually came out. But this camera is kind of responsible for just how I got it when a lot of things in my life were changing for the worse. Everything had become topsy-turvy, and I really just gravitated towards grabbing this camera and going outside and taking pictures with it every single day. It really kind of helped me get through a rough patch, and it's just a fantastic camera. It's 40 megapixels, probably more than you need. In fact, definitely more than you need, but you can crop like crazy on this thing if you want. It's kind of a faux rangefinder camera where you do have an optical viewfinder here, and you can switch back and forth between a digital viewfinder or an optical viewfinder. So if you're looking through this, you can just see the optical viewfinder, which is really cool. It's got a nice like rotating screen. Doesn't flip out to the side, but it flips up and down, more than you need for photography. Has all these physical dials on the top, which I just love for shutter speed and for exposure compensation. It actually has a fixed lens, which is it's an APS-C, so like a smaller sensor camera. The lens on here is equivalent to a 35, and so you can adjust the aperture right here on the lens, which is nice. It just kind of has that film feel with a lot of manual controls, takes fantastic images. I love this thing. One of the best purchases I've ever made as far as gear goes, and I use it every single day. I haven't looked at the shutter count on this. Maybe I should do that. How many pictures have I taken with this camera? Let me check. Okay, shutter count is 15,000 shots. So yes, I have used this camera quite a bit. Then my other camera that I use, not as often as the digital camera because I'm primarily shooting on digital, but I enjoy using this camera a lot. This is my gorgeous little Nikon FE2. This probably came out in, I think it was between 1983 and 86, or maybe 82 and 86, somewhere like that. And it is a fantastic camera, nice and metallic. Like this thing, in terms of weight with my Fuji, the Fuji has a metal body as well, but this thing feels just like a tank. Very dense, very well made. I had this, actually, I gave it a CLA, or I had someone give it a CLA, so calibrate, lubricate, adjust, or clean, lubricate, adjust, where they fixed all the internal seals, cleaned it all out, re-lubed it, and really just got it working like it's brand new. I love this thing. You can do aperture priority mode on this if you want, so you can have kind of somewhat automatic features, but I usually just shoot it in manual. And I've gotten to the point now where I can go outside and I'll be like, oh, it's f11 at 1/250, and then I check my light meter in here, and it's usually correct, which is nice. Right now I've got a 55mm micro lens on here that is just absolutely gorgeous. I love these vintage Nikon lenses. They are so freaking cool. This one is probably not that old because they made this lens up until just a few years ago, actually. But it's a macro lens, 55mm. It's great for shooting portraiture and stuff too, but it's really cool for macro. And then there's a little extension tube you can get. This is the 28mm lens that I usually have on it for just walking around. But there's this little extension tube you can get for the macro lens, which will make it basically a 1-to-1 magnification as well. And it's so cool. I love this camera. I love the feel of it. Just feeling the clicks as you're moving around these manual controls. It's so good. Such a nice camera. Absolutely love it. So those are my primary cameras. Those are what I normally shoot with. It's mostly the Fuji X100VI and then the Nikon FE2 a lot. And then also, and I'm always shooting Kodak Tri-X with the Nikon FE2. I always shoot the same film. I developed my film myself, and so I'm always wanting to shoot the same film. Yeah, so primarily the Fuji X100VI, and then maybe a third of the shots I take are with or maybe even a quarter of the shots I take are with the Nikon FE2. And then if I'm doing nature photography, it is with the Canon R6, which I am using to film this video right now. So if you would like something more in-depth, a dedicated video about my cameras, the cameras I use and the equipment I use for doing photography, let me know in the comments below. Okay, and briefly, we had a question from Marcel, I'm gonna ruin this, Genete, maybe that is how you pronounce your name. And this was on Patreon, and Marcel asks, a question for hashtag askstuffandthings. Did you see the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct the other day? Any thoughts on the upcoming console and the games that were revealed? So we'll do this very briefly because I know a lot of you don't really care about this, but I used to have a channel called Stuff and Things Plays. The channel still exists, but I don't update it anymore, where I played video games, and often I played Nintendo games, and many of them were played on the original Nintendo Switch, which came out in 2017, a hybrid console that you can play in handheld mode, but you can also put it on a dock and play on your TV. Huge hit. I think they've sold over 150 million of them. I was a big fan of it, played it a lot. Hadn't played it a lot lately. Haven't really played games at all that much lately. But Nintendo has announced the successor to the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch 2, which is coming out in June. And they had a whole video presentation about the new console. It's basically just a beefed up, slightly larger, bigger screen, better resolution, higher refresh rate for the screen. Just nicer hardware in general version of the original Switch. And then they announced some games, the big ones being Mario Kart World, which is going to be a launch game. So I'm sure most of you know what Mario Kart is, but it's kind of an open world version of Mario Kart that looks quite interesting. And then their other big first party games were Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is coming out in July, I believe. And then also they showed Metroid Prime Beyond, which is coming out sometime this year. Don't know when exactly. And then they showed a bunch of third-party games. There was an actual exclusive FromSoft game called The Duskbloods. So I've played most of the FromSoft games on my game channel. Dark Souls, Dark Souls 3, I did Sekiro, I did Bloodborne, I did Elden Ring. Love FromSoft games. This one looks like it's going to be multiplayer focused, which makes me kind of ambivalent, but it could still be cool. And just the fact that it's going to be exclusive to a Nintendo console is kind of crazy. But Marcel just wants to know, did I see it? Yes, I did, obviously. What do I think about it? I think it looks really good. I think that Nintendo is weirdly kind of positioning themselves. The Switch, I think, did so well because it was a much cheaper alternative to the Sonys and the Xbox consoles out there. And so people would have an Xbox or a Sony or maybe a PC, but then they would also get the Switch. Now Nintendo wants to charge $450 for this console, whereas the old one was $300. And they're trying to spec it up a little bit to maybe seem as though they can compete with Xbox and Sony, you know, horsepower-wise. Even though they can't, it's still not as powerful as like a PS5. But they're charging so much for it that I don't think it's going to be, it's not going to fit in that niche as that alternative console like it was for the Switch 1. And I don't really know about their marketing for this. It just seems like maybe they're positioning it in the wrong place. I would still like to get one eventually. I'm not going to get one right away. I don't want to blow $450 or $500 on a new console right now, especially because I'm not really gaming all that much at the moment. But the games do look compelling. Super Mario World looks great. The Donkey Kong game looks really interesting. I'm definitely interested in the FromSoft game. That's not until next year, I think. So probably by next year, I will probably have one. We'll see. But yeah, interesting, compelling hardware, compelling games. I think it's too expensive for like wide mainstream appeal. I'm sure they'll do well in the first year because all the huge enthusiasts will go out and buy one. But as far as it penetrating into popular culture like the Switch 1 did, I just don't see it happening with the price. And then also they're charging $80 for some of their games, which is a huge markup because they had one game on the Switch that was $70. That was Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. All their other first-party games were $60 at the most, and now they're just jacking that up $20. in one generational leap. That just seems like Nintendo got very arrogant because they did so well with the Switch, and now they're just charging what they think they can get away with, and they're not really caring as much about the consumer, it seems, because they think they have you on the hook. So anyway, interested in it, probably not going to get it right away, but I will be eyeing it closely throughout the coming months. Thanks for the question, Marcel. All right, gang, we are running behind here. We're already over 20 minutes, and we have yet to get to hashtag #AskStuffandThings. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, you could tweet at @SATBradley with the hashtag #AskStuffandThings, even though nobody ever really does that anymore, and I never really pay attention to X anymore, because why would I? And not because of anything political, because I've always hated Twitter, I've always hated X, I've always hated all those things, but I try to get on those for the benefit of the show, and if you guys want to try to contact me. But if you are a Patreon supporter, you can write to me via Patreon because you're paying. You're subscribed to the channel. So of course I'm going to read all those and pay attention to those on Patreon. But I also read and pay attention to all the comments that you guys leave in my YouTube videos. So go ahead and leave comments there as well. You can no longer hit that super thanks button under this video because this channel has been demonetized by YouTube. But we have some feedback from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things. This is from Theodosios, something like that, 2615. It's not just you or getting older. So I was talking about how I don't understand why most things are popular. Kind of an old man yelling at clouds thing, but I was also trying to say that no, it's not because I'm old, it's because a lot of this stuff I just don't get it. It's not good. Let's see, it's not just you or getting older. The world has gone insane, and I completely share your Las Vegas sentiments. Went once, won't go back. Yeah, I found Las Vegas to be the worst place in the entire world. Okay, next we have one from @abiogenesis is absurd. Okay, I'm also tall. Oh no, I'm also tail end Gen X. I feel close to millennials, or closer to millennials than to say someone born in 1965 or something. As to why people like stupid things, I think it's because most people are, let's say, simple. A lot of people don't contemplate basic things about themselves or the world around them. They just want to consume products, like you said, pigs with a trough. Okay, I guess I did say that, so I can't make fun of you saying it. @Hexeter Bonsai says, Bradley, out here swinging for the fences and hitting home runs when it comes to today's popular culture. I try to remind myself that I, a 53-year-old white guy, am not entirely the target audience for the current zeitgeist. I'm okay with that, but often work with younger people and frequently get drawn into discussions about the current in thing, and I am sure they're just baiting me because inevitably I make a reference to their current favorite thing as being their generation's version of something from my, also Gen X generation, and it results in outrage, generally good-natured, but still outrage, LOL. Yeah, it's interesting. I interact with lots of young people. It's kind of weird because I still don't consider myself old, even though, yes, I guess I technically am, but I just don't think of myself that way. And so I'll see someone who's like, it's the Steve Buscemi meme, like, hello, fellow kids. I'll see someone who's like 22 and I'll be like, hey, what's up? And not thinking anything of it, but they'll probably think like, why is this older dude coming up and talking to me? But when I do interact with young people, I find that many of them are interested in things from prior generations. Maybe they don't get the exposure that I did as a kid, because like when I was a kid, we were watching tons of old movies and old TV shows and everything. That was just around. Like you knew about other things for some reason. And it seems like a lot of kids don't get that exposure, but they are interested in learning about those things. So often when I have my film camera out, it's young people, like people in their 20s who are asking me about my film camera. So they're open to learning. Let's see. @Tom Brown, 1898, who's very old, says, a man after my own heart. Never been to Las Vegas, but decades ago at a sales meeting was treated to a casino night in Atlantic City. He put treated in quote marks. Got out of there as soon as I could. The place just made me feel dirty, which is something because I'm basically a dirty guy. I've lived in Louisville for more than 20 years, and never once have I been to Churchill Downs. I've never been one to follow the crowd either. Yeah, I don't get gambling. I don't like gambling. Don't do it. People can gamble if they want, but I don't understand the appeal at all. That's another thing that's really annoyed me about the NFL now, is that they have allowed all these gambling sites and companies to advertise on their product now. So if you listen to an NFL podcast, it's all about DraftKings or all these online gambling services. I just find it kind of gross. We have at Ledger and Lace, dude, you should know you are poking the Swiftie bear. So I was, I think, complaining, or not complaining, but just saying I don't understand why Taylor Swift is popular. Swifties get a bee in their sparkly bonnets and will haunt you. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I don't personally know anyone, at least not anyone who has admitted to me that they enjoy Taylor Swift, so I don't think I have to worry about it. And if anyone online hears about a weirdo on YouTube in his 40s talking about Taylor Swift and they decide to come to my channel and harass me, more power to them. I don't have to worry about it too much, I don't think. And then finally at Go Lee Me says, Scottish blend has this marvelous butter, citrus, marmalade texture and sweetness on toast. Well, that's what it is for me. Interesting. I don't know if I could... Butter. I could see maybe the marmalade and the citrusy sweetness. I definitely had like a grapey kind of flavor to it. I don't know about the butter though. Interesting. And then finally we have some feedback on my Spying on Birds nature walk video, where all I was able really to find were Canada geese, which are cool, but I was hoping for something a little more exotic. At Xander2234A says, any interest in doing photos of the trains? I know it might not be your thing, just an idea to play around with landscapes and light conditions that can make freight train photos pretty neat. Just a suggestion to add variety. I've done some of that. I was doing some stuff for a while with slow shutter speeds as the trains were going by with like the lights and everything streaking. Yeah, I'll take photos of anything if I find it interesting. At Michael Case 8574 says, with the 600mm, you might want to investigate a monopod. There are some reasonably priced ones available. The great thing about this is that it's relatively light. It has image stabilization. The Canon R6 also has in-body image stabilization, and I can handhold the camera and this lens and take really sharp pictures without having to worry about it. I don't really need a monopod with this. And then finally, we have at Corbin Bourbon 1194, I at least found out what a scoter was from the video. Something new every day. Yeah, I don't even remember mentioning the scoter, but they're these little like sea ducky guys that we have around, and I think there were some in the video. I don't remember mentioning them, but maybe Corbin Bourbon saw them and looked them up. So gang, thank you for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. It really helps make the show go. All right, but now it's time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support the channels on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated. Now, my YouTube channel has been completely demonetized, as I'm sure you have heard if you've been watching the content recently. So Patreon is the only way to support the stuff I do online. If you like the videos I post on YouTube, go ahead and support us on Patreon. If you like the exclusive pipe videos that I can only post on Patreon now, you might want to check out Patreon and subscribe. $5 a month, something like that. You'll get access to all those videos. I'm taking all the pipe review blends or pipe review videos from YouTube. They have been axed. They're going to be reposted on Patreon, and then we have new exclusive stuff on Patreon all the time, so check that out. And every week, we like to shout out those who support the channels at $25 or more a month. The producers of Stuff and Things. People like Jason Buckner, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, Jonathon Proctor, The Friendly Piper, GreatGrol, Glenn, Just Glenn, Les Brady, David Severin, Nicholas James, Kyle Whitmore, and Mr. Gibson. We had a new $25 and up supporter, and I sent them a message on Patreon to ask how they want to be addressed. They have not responded yet, so hopefully they will, and they will be included in the next shout out. And then of course the Maniac tier, the crazy people who support the channels on $100 a month, people like stolid, dependable Bob Magee, and our good friend, and you should check him out on YouTube, Ryan McFadin, at, I believe it's the Existential Skater on YouTube. Posts some amusing videos of him trying to land tricks and stuff. Definitely check that out. And then of course we will never forget our Hall of Fame member and award-winning author, dearly departed friend, Peter Straub. Gang, stay tuned for all the good stuff coming up on Stuff and Things YouTube and Stuff and Things Patreon. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.